The ball started.
Thanks, employees.
Good evening, everyone. Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to go ahead and get the Public Safety Committee meeting to order. Today is, no, dice enero. Today is Tuesday, March 5th.
March 5th.
And it is 6:35 PM. If we could please have a moment of silent meditation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. No, I thought I'd grab the minutes. I didn't know if that was on it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mayor Cubillos.
Here.
Vice Mayor Nickerson.
Here.
Councilperson Roman.
Here.
Also present for the record, Janice Jacoby, Village Clerk. Christy Alou, Village Manager. Interim Village Attorney, Norman Powell.
And, sorry.
Oh, and also interim Chief Sharp.
I have to do what?
Changed the amendment.
If I can please have a, if I can please have a, to amend the, the agenda to reflect the correct date, which is Tuesday, March 5th. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda with the correction of the date?
Motion to approve the agenda with correction of the date.
Motion been made by Vice Mayor Nickerson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Roman. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Hearing none, the agenda for the March 5th Public Safety meeting passes. We have two items on the agenda. I'm going to go ahead and start off with the ordinance repealing the Sergeant's Provision Review. If you all remember, back in April of last year, when the PBA contract was at the April council meeting, this was discussed. This was discussed where Attorney Powell brought to our attention that this was there. We all remember it being there, and it was time to update the charter, but that I believe it reflected, I don't know if it was in 1960s or something like that. So with that said, we are bringing it now forward in light of that it had not been done thereafter. So I will ask Attorney Powell to please, I don't have the copy of the ordinance with me, but I have it on my computer. If you want to make sure that we go through the ordinance, the verbiage.
Right, it's fairly straightforward. The ordinance is going to be repealing Chapter 18, Article 2, Section 18-16 of the code, which, as we've just recently went through, provides for a public termination by the council for the position of sergeant, and also for a public safety department, which we do not have. So this is simply going to repeal that section of the code to come in line to what actually exists today, and also negate the need to, in the future, have a council imprimatur or sign off on the termination of the sergeant's position.
I just have a question. I don't have the code in front of me. I know the Councilperson Mathis does, but I know that throughout that part or a few paragraphs, the term public safety department comes out often. Is there another area where it says public safety department? Should we, if we're going to amend it, should it be the police department so it reflects correctly?
Well, what we're doing is laser terminating this provision. In order to bring the code actually into today, we'd have to go through and revise all of the code that's consistent. There's a cross-reference to, I believe, section.
So we completely, are we completely eliminating Article 2, Public Safety Department, Section 18/16?
Exactly. That's exactly what we're doing, which calls for, again, which calls for
Which is A and B?
Right. We're getting rid of the entire section. So the position of public sergeant is hereby created in the Department of Public Safety, and no appointment or removal from the position shall be made except with the consent of the council. Is there a question?
I think Councilperson Mathis is not on the committee, but that's okay. And I'm going to pull it up real quick. Any comments from the, while I pull it up, any comments from the committee or Councilperson Mathis?
Sorry.
I remember this coming up or us discussing this, so I don't have any questions at this time, and I'm fine with that, repealing that.
Right, because the way the purpose of actually really repealing this is to get at two things. One, there is not a Department of Public Safety. So there really wouldn't be a position of sergeant in that department. And second, we're also getting rid of the requirement that if there is a removal of a sergeant, it doesn't have to come before with the consent of the council. There's a cross-reference to 2.62, which I looked at earlier and did not, or could also go ahead and try to repeal all the sections in the future to get rid of any and all references to a public safety department also.
So if I'm looking at the ordinance, no, I agree with that, but I'm also looking at the ordinance that was sent along with the agenda. And on the second paragraph, it says, whereas the agreement provides for, among things, that the village chief of police shall appoint the police department's corporal, sergeant, and police lieutenant, which is inconsistent with Article 2 of the Code of Ordinances.
Right, correct.
So we're gonna delete section, the recommendation is to delete
Right.
section 18.6, A, B, and C.
Correct. So that's why I just said, Chapter 18, Article 2, Section 18-6. The entire section is going to be gone. All of it's going to be repealed. I mean,
Because currently they have to come to.
Well, not only that, but for so long, it actually contradicts the collective bargaining agreement.
right, correct. That's why I put that in the whereas clause.
Okay. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I do have a question. I'm not on this committee, but I'm thinking that, okay, we're doing this as an ordinance, but wouldn't this be a charter revision?
That's what,
So we can't
we can't
do this by ordinance.
It's actually under the code. It's not under the charter.
oh, it's not on the charter.
It's in the code. It's in Chapter 18. Yeah, Chapter 18,
There's some things that.
yeah. Is it?
Is there anything in the charter about that?
Got it, I see that.
Yeah.
It's only code, it's not charter.
Yeah, well, I mean, if there's if I'm corrected, yeah.
Oh, I see what, because right here, okay, I see, I'm looking at the reference. Well, code is 1965, so this is last amended in 65.
Right.
So it was done, so it's in our code. So if it's in our code, it's not referendum. So if it's in our code, it's not in our charter. Because it says here, code that was 14-1, what does it say here? Law enforcement policy.
I guess I'm confused what the question is.
It's not down here.
It's the code.
He thinks it's the charter. That was the question.
I think it would be, I'm thinking
The charter.
it's
Because
a
it-
charter
'cause it-
amendment.
Yeah, which would be a referendum, which would have to go on the
Right,
ballot.
exactly, but I'm
There's
looking
no-
at it it's under the code, not the charter.
Does the charter make reference to that?
No.
We might also look at the
Not
charter.
that
Have to look
section.
at the charter.
There it is. Well, he's gonna look at the charter index real quick.
All right.
I didn't,
That's not the question.
If it's that difficult to find out whether it's
No, well, I don't know if this is
What do you say, Madam
updated.
Clerk? Is it in the charter of the code?
I am not sure, and that was something that was brought up, actually. We need to look at the charter.
Yeah,
And
I read it as part of the
before-
code, not the charter.
Before, we go by the code, obviously, but it could be in the code and it could be in the charter too. It could be amended in the
I
code.
didn't see it in the charter, and the charter's in part 1, which goes through Article 1 through 8. And then after that, we get to the code, which is the different chapters,
Sounds
which
like
is what
it's
we're
code to
talking
me.
about.
So let's do this. So let's get it to look right in the event that this is something that can go to our council in March. In the interim, let's solidify and be sure that it's not a referendum, which I'm sure you take a look.
Yeah, I'm reading it as a,
But the most important thing, let's get the verbiage correct on this, and then so that if it's something that we can listen to at and hear at the March council meeting, it's ready to go. And then if it's something that, oh, no, we can't because we got to do this and we got to do a referendum,
yeah.
but at least we have it ready in the event that we
Yeah,
can,
I mean,
okay?
If it's, I guess if it's a referendum, I mean, I don't read it as the charter, but to the extent that it requires a referendum, we have the, special election coming up, we can put it on that. if they-
It cannot be done at that.
It's too late, no, it would be too late. It'd have to be done in.
In 2020.
In
In
November,
2020.
then,
It's too late.
Which, yeah, no, so, no, that's fine. So what needs to happen is two things. Let's make sure that the verbiage is correct in the event that this is the right way. And we have 2 weeks before we meet at the council meeting, and I'll try to get an answer to the manager and clerk so they can get it to the committee by Friday, Monday? Okay? Okay. But with that said, is the verbiage based on what was sent? And if it wasn't, what has been updated to reflect that it is actually correct?
When it goes to final, it'll read as Chapter 18, Article 2, Section 18-16, A and B. That's being repealed.
All right. So, let's see.
It doesn't reference, that's an old one. I just left it there. You want me to bring you mine? Regardless, we need to see, it's mine. It's close, all right.
You know what, let me see if it's, we can just read it, or it's, we have it on there.
No. Okay, so, we are going to, so all you have to add on the resolution, and the ordinance is that it is from Chapter 2, Section 2, correct? Chapter 18, Article 2, Chapter 18, Section 1, correct?
Chapter 18, Article 2, Section 18-16, A and B.
Okay. So if we can get the updated, if we can get the updated ordinance emailed to us, just so that we can also have it correctly, and we can proof it and read it and give it the thumbs up in the event that it is going to go to the council meeting, okay? But I really do ask that you be sure and let us know by Friday. Friday or Monday is fine. Because if it is an ordinance and it is going to committee, by Monday, sufficient time for Eunice if she needs to properly notice it. All right. Any questions on that ordinance for the attorney? Or ordinance or whatever potentially could be, change? Okay. All right, let's go to the second agenda item, which is a tracking report. Did you have that copy, Lisa? Actually, I'll put mine up here. What I want to go ahead and do with the tracking report, like I mentioned at the council meeting last week, at the February council meeting, I really want every every chair of the committee to keep their tracking report accurate and ensure that the clerk has it at all times, because starting in March, it's going to be a drop button off the navigation bar on the website, so that someone can hit committees and all 6 are going to come down, and they're going to be able to see what's on the agenda and exactly what we're doing, and the tracking report should reflect the reality of what we're actually doing, as opposed to it being a little antiquated. When I take a look at the police tracking report, there's a few things that I want to add, and I wanted to ask the manager, and I also wanted to ask Interim Chief Sharp a couple of questions. So the few things that I wanted to add it on the tracking report for the police is, when we take a look at the tracking report, what is missing on there that is annual things that the police department must regularly do? So is there a FDLE that comes in twice a year? Is it FDLE that comes in once a year? How often is a property room updated or not updated? If we can just put that on there and track it properly, so that we're always all on the same page, and that way we don't forget that, oh, it's June. Like, for example, when I look at the tracking report, July is a couple of months away, and I know July is a time that we always apply for a grant. So I don't know who's doing that. I don't know if that's something that Robert Morano does, or you all are going to take a look at it. But when I take a look at the tracking report, I know it's the SAM grant. I don't really know what that means. It's always been on there, but I just want to be sure that you all are aware of it, and you all take a look at it, and let the committee know what should be on there that we should be tracking to ensure that there's a checks and balance and we don't fall behind in any area. Am I missing anything? You can come to the podium. Am I missing anything?
I'll ask Acting Chief Sharp to come to the podium. He and I did go over the tracking report, and we will add the annual things. I know that we should also include on there any PBA reviews or anything that comes up through that contract as well, because I know one thing is their medical exams.
So that's a really good thing. So the PBA contract, it just got renewed, and when does it expire? It's 3 years, right?
Yes, 2020
So
expiration.
So is that, the contract was 2017 to 2020?
Yes, right, even though we negotiated.
Oh, it goes fast, okay. And then I also put on there McGrath, just so we can track to see how you guys have been. I know you guys have done a lot of work
Yes.
to update the areas that needed to be. FDLE, how often is that? Is it something that they regularly come, or how does that work?
I know, just from our experience in the last few months, that they come every time there's a new chief or a transfer of leadership, and then they do a spot visit from time to time.
Okay.
So the spot visits usually to come check personnel files and to see if trainings are done. So trainings should be something in there, because that's an annual thing.
Okay.
Do we qualify every year, or is it every 2 years?
Every 2 years, but we try to do it once a year.
And we're actually working with one of our reserve officers, Officer Dolan, who's setting up training for our staff at a reduced rate for qualifying.
Okay,
We're doing
good.
that.
So you all have to qualify every year?
Well, it's every 2 years, but we try to do it once a year, so we can stay updated.
And the other thing, so when FDLE comes, besides qualifying, is there other training that police officers have to do, like CEUs or a particular, anything of that nature that has to be annually?
I'm not sure.
No.
No?
No. Like that.
Okay. What else would be in their file that would have to be updated annually? Anything?
Well, we're supposed to stay up in mandatory training. That's a 40-hour training that we supposed to mandate, and that's like every 5 years.
Oh, 40 hours every 5 years?
Yes.
What about the physicals? The physicals are every 2 years,
Correct.
physical exams.
And that's all part of FDLE, okay. Physicals, the 40 hours every 5 hours, qualifying, it's every 2 years, but we're working on trying to get it annually. What else on that?
I know Officer Burrell is here as well. He's been helping us. Can you think of anything that we need to do on an annual basis in terms of FDLE? Okay, come to the podium.
And then what is the cost associated to each, and is it something that the village pays? what is the cost associated to each, and we, because the village is paying for that, right?
Trainings, yes.
Okay, so if we can just get the cost of it, and then we'll put it on there, and then it's always being tracked, okay?
Absolutely. Do you know of any trainings, Officer Burrell, that we haven't touched on?
Currently, there's only one training, which is what Acting Chief Sharp alluded to, which is the annual firearms training. FDLE does require every 2 years, but we always done it every year. 'Cause
When you
want
say
it-
firearms training, is that qualifying?
Qualifying where you fire, correct. And then every 2 years will be your discretionary shooting,
Okay.
which is also mandated by FDLE. As far as any other mandatory training, the only other mandatory training that Acting Chief alluded to was the 40-hour, which is every 4 years, not every 5 years, is every 4 years.
Oh, it's every 4 years, okay.
Correct. And
So
as
it's 10
far
hours a
as,
year.
and as far as FDLE goes, they do an annual CJIS audit, which is what we're trying to complete. And I believe that's annually. And
Okay.
also the Davis system we use, which is the system we use to run tags.
Tags.
And they also do an annual, but that is done through FDOT, I believe.
Okay, good. So we have the Davis system, the CGS was, CGS audit, which is,
CGIS.
CGIS. We have the discretionary shooting, the physical every 2 years, 40 hours every 4 years, 40 hours. Qualifying, we're gonna put annually, the PBA contract is set to expire in 2020, and that pretty much.
Well, we have the reopener
We have a reopener
on
coming up.
April 1st.
The other question I have is who's our FTO right now? Only, is it you? Who's our FTO? It's you?
Currently, we have 3 FTOs.
So it's Interim Chief Sharp, you?
Officer Burrell.
Yes,
Officer Burrell, and,
and Sandy Owens.
oh, okay. Is anybody else in track to potentially be, because I know they have to be a full-time officer for how long? 2 years?
2 years.
Is there anybody else in track that you all have in mind that you all,
Well,
to be considered to be FTO?
Currently, anyone, whoever meets that requirement could
2
go
years?
to, yeah, it's not
Which-
anyone specific
Okay. But we don't have anybody full-timers for 2 years, no?
at the moment, no.
And not even close actually right now, right?
At the moment,
No?
no.
Okay.
Thank you all.
All right, perfect.
But if you will, stay one more second, Chief Sharp. Also about, you mentioned the SAM system grants. We are, I know Officer Rushmore has been taking on more grants responsibilities, and we just renewed our SAM registration through Robert Ruano.
Oh, okay, good.
I think it was last week, so I think we're all set, and
Okay,
we
good.
will be applying for whatever we can get for our department.
Okay. I have that right here. Now, we have a lot of new officers, new by the terms of, I guess, full-time. Is this something that you both are gonna work on to do maybe a 6-month evaluation on them? You guys,
Yes.
looked into that? Okay. That's probably this. I know you have Officer Burrell, you have Officer Nautines, and you have Officer Martinez. It'll be good to, keep that on, start off on that note. Whether you do 90 days, whether you do 6 months, especially if they're doing really good, you want to let them know. So I want to put that down that we do start, they're new, so we start them with the evaluations. We had, on the track and report, something that I had recommended a while ago was even if there is a self-evaluation, just to see how they, see themselves, how do they think they're doing, and then it's compared to their supervisors and their chiefs and the managers, how they foresee how they're doing. So it's something that if you, I think I said that I actually have a form. My husband is in the military, that's what they do a self-evaluation. So I can give you like a sort of like a mock form that if you guys want to take a look at, if you don't have one or something like that, okay? I'll send it to the manager. Let's see. Let me know. I mean, April's right around the corner. We generally do an Earth Day cleanup. If it's something that you want to take a look in the calendar.
Okay.
April's a little busy, so if we're going to do it, let's plan it sooner than later, so I can make sure that I'm present.
We have a date on the
Oh, we do? Is it the 3rd Saturday in April?
Probably.
Probably by Earth Day? Okay, that's perfect. That's what I have.
Calendar.
Okay. Earth Day is April 22nd. Yeah. April 20th? So it's probably going to be April 20th, Saturday, perfect. All right, right, what else do we have here? Christia, anything on the tracking report or Sharp that you think is good to track that we do not have on here? How are the cars?
They'll maintain.
They're okay?
Yeah.
That is not really
They're
convincing. That is
Well
not convincing.
maintained. Sharp, you gotta use some adjectives.
Yeah, they're well maintained.
Do we have a plan for the officer that does not have a car?
Yes, right now, the officer who does not have a car is using the black car, the chief's car, until we can figure out some other plans. But that allows for somebody to use that car as we, transition into the, moving into finding a chief. So, yeah, we have to figure that out.
Is Juarez still managing or responsible for
Yes.
the fleet? How many used cars do we have?
About 5.
And how are they?
They're okay.
They're
You
okay.
can be honest, how are they? This
They're
is the time to
okay.
be honest.
They're
5
okay.
used cars, okay.
Yeah.
Only one's given us more problems.
Yeah, I think that's double.
How many new cars? 5?
5.
5 new.
And then the black car. All right, good. All the police officers have a vest?
All the full time, yes.
All the full-timers? Let's see, what's the other question I have for you?
And we're about to order a laptop for one more full-time officer. We didn't have a laptop for officer time, so we'll be ordering a $1,300 laptop.
Now, is that something that the forfeiture funds can be used?
Possibly, I'm gonna look into it, yeah, we'll try to utilize those forfeiture funds.
Do we know how much money we have in the forfeiture funds right now?
I'm sorry, I should have gotten our CFO to print out.
It's
some
okay,
for us,
just,
but-
when I update this, we're gonna I'll send it to you, just update it with the money.
Okay,
Okay.
I will.
Yeah, you might wanna look into that, because I think the last time we looked, I think there was, 16,000 or 26,000, I think, in there?
I think it was about 16 to 15,000.
You wanna make sure that it's not something that you all are gonna lose, so,
Oh, no.
always be aware of what, it can be used for. We can't buy a car with that, can we?
I don't know if we can do that, but it's
Do-
gotta be
can
some
they buy- no, they can't.
unbudgeted
Unbudgeted?
something, yeah.
All right.
So we'll look into it, I'll talk to our CFOs
Okay.
about it.
I mean, it'd be great if there could be police car, but if, I don't know the legalities, clearly you could just be,
Yeah.
Norman, maybe you can help them look into that and see if that's something that they can do, so that, as we move forward, because when and if you do hire a chief, then so it's Tynes that doesn't have a car, right?
Right, it'll be time.
And out of the 5 cars that we have that are used, how many of them are really working?
All but
All of them.
one.
All of them?
Yeah, they're all working.
Okay, so one of them is a so-so, right?
It's just in and out of the shop.
Okay. All right, okay.
It's functioning,
So 4 are perfect, and 1 is in and out.
yes.
All right, anything else?
Nothing, just, I responded to your email,
Yes, thank you.
and I sent all the officers the email, want to help them with harassment, that if we are overloaded, that one should be towards the nature trail, one should be in the middle, and one should be towards the end where you at, assisting officer road. So we've been doing that.
Okay.
And
No,
also,
yeah.
we started back on a little foot patrol.
Yeah, it's a good time to do it now before it gets really hot.
And-
The
Oh,
schedule,
Oh, I was just gonna mention, we are instituting a new schedule
Yes.
starting this week, so,
oh, tell me about it, because my schedule was my last topic. That was, I left the big one for last.
well, let the acting chief
Well,
describe the changes.
You made
And I
a few
will tell you,
changes.
I sent you, I just put it on the record, you all sent me the email, and I think you all were in copy. The schedule looked much better. I don't know who worked on it, but you all know that it's something that has been, I'm really passionate about, but whoever worked on it, it looked good. It looked,
It was
you know,
myself and
It was
Officer
very good.
Guerrero.
It was very good.
Yeah, they did a very good job with changes. And if you'd like to kind of describe generally some of the new.
Yeah, since Mark is going to be working on the ending part of the week, work week, so River Run is going to move Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday nights. He's going to work Monday and Tuesday nights with me from 9 to 7. And Officer Battaglia is going to move from midnights to 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. on that swing schedule on that side of the week.
very good. No, much better. The schedule looked, it was a tremendous improvement, so thank you. How are we doing with the reserves and the part-timers?
We do have the job postings for those, and we had to take care of some things through the McGrath recommendations in terms of the background check packet. So we've completed that. There's just some final touches that need to be added from our staff on it, but we're ready to start looking for, or to start interviewing reserve and part-timers. We do need to replace the 2 part-timers. We have been moved up to full-timers now.
Okay. And if they can get sworn in at the March council meeting?
Yes, we
Okay.
love that. We're planning to have them there.
The last thing I want to touch on briefly is, as I mentioned at the council meeting, I met with the mayor of Miami Shores. And I was actually supposed to be in the agenda tonight, but I'm not, but I'm on the agenda on the third Tuesday of this month. And one of the things we talked about was the dispatcher. Because I think one of the things we've continually heard is that Miami Shores is on their own dispatch unit. What is your thought with regards if sharing that dispatcher would be a possibility? Would it be a benefit? Would it be better, or would it not be better?
Well, providing that we're next door, it would be a lot better. You know, other than when there's emergency tone, that's the only way Miami Shores can hear our calls. When there's emergency tone, it goes over the whole air. But if we can get that back on the same frequency, it'd be a whole lot better.
What do we pay the county? Is there a cost to the county for being with the county dispatch?
I'm sure there is. I don't know what that cost is, but I can get it. I'll share it with you all.
Because
as a committee.
there's a cost to everything,
Yes.
and I haven't gone through those numbers with the mayor. I'm just going to talk about it at a public meeting to see the response I get from the council. But I'd like to know what the county thinks of it, but more importantly, something that, I thought that I had heard something that you guys had wanted, so
I think it'd be a
if
good,
it's something that
good
is
idea.
actually feasible. All right.
And I too met with the police chief of Miami Shores this morning, and I think that we should pursue some opportunities to work together, and that would be a good one for us all, and even with the other municipality as well, if we want to use Biscayne Park.
So the last thing I have, which I know you're not going to be thrilled about, I just have a question, but I'm going to close the tracking report. Anything else on the tracking report? No? Okay. So I take no position on this, but I want to ask. So a couple of residents really do not let go of the CPO phone. I remind them that it's something that it's just not, it's a safety thing, it's a safety. Because, they will call if they see somebody at their door at 1 o'clock in the morning, and they're gonna call the CPO phone, which clearly that's not best use of that. They're insistent, and then I was like, well, it takes education, what have you. But then I thought, I didn't say anything, I thought to myself, and I was like, if we were to consider it on a trial basis, only if you guys are okay with it, maybe it's something that is only implemented like 9 to 5, and it's not in the evening. I agree. I know you're nodding your head, but just food for thought. Just think about it. Talk to the team. Just get a feel for it. It's a topic that they don't let go. And I think what happens is that they call that 305 police number, and then they're given the runaround. And what all they wanted was something like I don't know, something really minor, and so they get really frustrated, and that's when we get the text messages and the calls, and so. Talk to the team, talk it over. My thought was, if we were to consider it, then it would only be like a daytime, like a Monday, 9 to 5, I don't know. Because clearly at nighttime, it's not a good time, a good use of the CP phone. Again, I didn't put it on the agenda. I just wanted to end on for you all to.
Think about it.
What is the committee, what is it, I know Vice Mayor Nickerson is nodding his head no. Any thoughts on that?
It's all good, Madam Mayor, if I may for a second. I just think that, I think a couple of things. I think first of all, that when you have a change, like how we shifted from having the CPO phone to not having the CPO phone, and I think at that time, it was very clear when it was explained, like the safety problems to the police officers, it was extremely clear at that particular time. I think that when you have the type of change that the people that were against that change are going to continue to want that to go back to the way that it used to be. But I think that if we go back, you'll never be able to, or it'll be 100 times much harder to, again, if those safety issues come back up, to reverse the second time. So I think that when you have that type of change, eventually people will get used to it. Eventually, they'll complain for a certain amount of time, but eventually they'll get used to it. Also, on top of that, we're not telling them to do anything that's out of the ordinary from pretty much every other citizen in Miami-Dade County. Like, it's not like we're telling them, okay, you guys have to do something special and out of the ordinary from everybody else. So if everybody else in Miami-Dade County, which are millions of people, can do it that way, then why can't we do it the same way? That's another thing. So I just think for those two reasons, I think that, oh, and also part which might be the bigger reason, I think that at first, that if we do it from 9 to 5, I think that it'll work out. But I think that once time goes by, I think those hours are going to start to leave people's minds, and they're going to start to use it at 7, and they'll start to use it at 9 p.m., and then somebody will call at 11 p.m. And then eventually we'll look back a couple years from now, and it'll be like, well, it was supposed to be a 9 to 5 thing, but yeah, I do have some people that are calling it at midnight when they see somebody outside of their house. So I just think that it's just not going to work out the right way. But that's just me. You guys are the experts, and I think that the mayor brought up a good point that maybe it should be asked. Thank you.
If I may?
Yes.
Okay, so I do agree that, because I get it all the time, that, can we bring back the CPO phone? And so it is something that it's being asked for. I agree with what Nickerson, our vice mayor, has said. I think where our residents and what they like to see is a way to communicate with our police department. And this is where, unlike other, like Miami Shores, we don't have someone answering the phone at our police department or dispatch. And so this is where maybe perhaps a dispatcher with Miami Shores would be a benefit, and because when they're calling, from what I'm hearing is when you're calling the 305, the non-emergency line, it's very impersonal, and it's almost like they don't realize the urgency of our residents or the importance. And at that moment when our residents are calling, it is very important. That non-emergency line, although it's not a 911 emergency, it is a very important call, and they're not receiving that importance. So maybe it's not that phone coming back, but it's something, with the dispatching coming, maybe going with Miami Shores. I like that idea. A 9 to 5 phone number for the police department that can be answered, that it's just police department, it's not, I don't know who would man it. These are just things that I think we should look at, because that's where the main concern is. There's no way for our residents to get a hold of our police department.
So I wanted to close it on that, food for thought. Okay, I wrote everything down here in the tracking report. I will update it and get it to you guys between Friday and Monday. And just to quickly just go through it, I have McGrath, FDLE, Property Room, PBA contract 2017 through 2020 with the reopener this April. Qualifying is every 2 years, but we prefer to do it annually. 40 hours every 4 years, which is 10 hours a year. Physical is every 2 years. Discretionary shooting?
Yes.
Okay. CJIS audit, which is annual. Davis system, we have 5 used cars, but one's not doing so well. Our 5 new cars, and we have the black car. Full timers all have the safety-proof vest, the bulletproof vest. We need to purchase a laptop, but you all are gonna see if we can use a forfeiture funds for that, and maybe even the police car. I do not know. Maybe not the police car, but if you got the car and all the accessories for the lights, that's about $10,000. Maybe that can be. So we can look at that, so we can get Officer Tynes a police car. Schedule is much better. You've mentioned the changes that have not only happened, but are gonna continue to happen. And then the shared police dispatcher with Miami Shores is, we're beginning that conversation with them. I think that concludes the updates on the public safety tracking report. And then I have the operations cleanup to be April 20th. If Councilperson Roman can confirm that to the clerk so she can let us know. Foot Patrol, you guys are redoing that. That is fantastic. You just renewed the SAMS grant, and Robert, I see, is here. Hello, Robert. We're going to take a look at the police officers, the evaluation, especially the new ones that have just started. And the 2 new full-timers will be sworn in the March council meeting. That's it. Anything else from the committee? Okay, all righty. With that said, let's go into good and welfare. Anybody with good and welfare? Hearing none. I have one comment before I close. I'm not going to be here for the next 2 meetings. I just wondered if I can to public works. Whether you add it on the tracking report or have a conversation. I've mentioned to the manager about the public works current maintenance worker. It needs to go, my recommendation needs to go full-time, more hours. I'm really concerned about the garbage cans. I'm really concerned about the swales. I don't know if he has a checklist. I don't know, but
It has a checklist.
but
I think it.
okay.
it
So
might be
so
the
if so.
person might be the issue.
So it would be great if they can come on a Saturday. I think Carlos is also here, but I think it needs to be either more hours or something. But
We may have to find a
Take a look
person
at-
who can
okay.
do that too.
So-
I think it's just a matter of ability.
from the doggies do stations, from the 10 trash cans that we have village-wide, those have all only been implemented since 4 years now. And they need to be better taken care of, or they're going to get run down. Those doggy do stations look pretty bad, and again, the smell from the trash cans. So if you guys would please cover that, because I will not be here, okay? And the swale, the right-of-ways, I don't know if that's him or if that's Mitchell. Our medians,
It's Mitchell.
our medians on North Miami Avenue, and then the sign on North Miami Avenue, which I think it got hit twice by a car, right? So I'll leave that for you guys, okay? Anybody else good or will for anything else from the committee? All right, hearing none, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion's been made by Vice Mayor Nickerson, second by Councilperson Roman. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All right, hearing none, the Public Safety Committee ends at 7:18 PM. Thank you. Have a good meeting.